It's it's complicated, but it's not that complicated to understand. And the interesting thing is that this is in theory. It's in theory and it's in reality. But the point is that under that principle, and you can see it in the movies and stuff, under that principle ideology is how it spawns forth. Under that ideology, they spawn forth a million different, evils and sources, just lots of different sources of evil. Okay? So the bottom line is that they don't want the rule of law, and it is a Jewish and Zionist agenda. And Hitler discovered this in the 20s and 30s. Because they discovered that they can make a lot more money with many, many things, millions of things. Because money is actually, it's somewhat, what is actual money? It's debt owed from one person to another. So you're impoverishing some people, which becomes the working class. It becomes the workers and stuff like that. And others are sapping the wealth from them. The others are becoming very rich, for a few corporation owners or whatever, at the expense of slaverizing and turning the rest into debt slaves, corporate debt slaves, just slaved by the money. So being able to free them up would be, just to understand the theory. A comparison would be your rent is not, $2,200 per month. Your rent is like $800 per month. The way it was back in the 1950s. So keeping things low on the money so that you have plenty of money, good jobs, plenty of money to take care of your family, to take care of lots of extra money, food and everything. You can purchase a lot. So you're not completely, so the debt slaves are not completely enslaved. And remember, this is just theoretical. But in reality, it plays out in reality. So, and a part of this whole ideology has been going on for a lot of years, hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, possibly. And so it is theoretical, but it is kind of in theory, but it also plays out in reality. And they do it by, the bottom line is that they do it by different formats of corruption of society. Why do they do this corruption of society? Because if everything would be very decent and properly done, there wouldn't be any money to make from all of these different scandals. So because of all these different scandals, you get health problems, the doctors can make lots of money from that, all the, bad, evil, Satanist movies. The movies in the entertainment industry is the kind of source of, or the way they project out, all these evils and stuff. Because the point is that if everything is breaking down in society, if everything is terrorism is breaking down and being run down, and you can see a lot of people that kind of constantly run things down. The gangster agenda, they run things down. They don't keep it nice and decent and functional and clean. They run everything down. Some cities are corrupted and kind of run down and just dirty and disgusting. So people have the bad side is that people have to live with that corruption and dirt and stuff, when it should be proud, clean, and nice, and no gangs, no run down, no graffiti. Graffiti is an example of running down the community. Gangs, allowing the gangs and the violence and the money trading and the gang level. That's examples of how it's run down. When in the 1950s there was no gangs. In the 1950s, your students, your kids could play in the street and throw balls around without being worried about cars running them over or all kind of fear-based things. So good people don't want all that evil stuff. It's kind of bad and evil, and just turns everything into a very low class kind of bad stuff. But the people who can see profit off of everything, they want all that because then, what's one or two more crimes amid a whole sea of crimes, a whole culture of crime and Satanism where everything is, that's just the way it is. Everything is breaking down, everything, all kind of bad movies and all kind of bad stuff. So in theory, the Satan approach, the Satanism or kind of evil, and you see it in that evil movie, all kind of this and bad things, kind of worse things running down. That's kind of the entertainment projection, or kind of the ultimate release of the Satanism is in the movie. Because when you go out driving on the street, it's not quite as bad as it is in the movie, with everybody shooting themselves and blowing everything up. Kind of creatures coming out of the ground and killing everything. In real life, there's people in the city working and living happy. So it's not really a whoops.